Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm back, and you have Vidushi today. So thank you very much, Vidushi. Vidushi is an entrepreneur, and thank you very, very much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lakshit.
Yeah. So before we begin, Vidushi, it would be great if you could, take us through your work, take us through your journey. Tell us about your work, everything you do and everything you're doing and everything you like to do and your hobbies and all of that. That would be great. Please take us through your journey. Yeah.
I'm born and brought up in the city of Lucknow, which is also a city where, tehzeeb and nazakat is like an everyday thing. So it's like a part of our lifestyle there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've grown up there. Then I come from a family of perfumers who've been into the business of perfumery for over 160 years now. So I'm like the generation businessman in businesswoman, or rather, in the same stream of business. So the idea was never to join my family business. I always wanted to do something out of it, because it's a family business, and there are a lot of challenges there. But as destiny had it, I ultimately actually ventured into the same stream. How it all started was, like I mentioned, I've always been around fragrances and the manufacturing. There are multiple chemicals around. So I've grown up around it. So I was always intrigued and always interested in that field. Probably it's like just because it was in my blood in a way. It's been so many generations now. So I happened to spend a lot of time in Switzerland after my wedding, and while I was there, I did a lot of research into the field of perfumery that's going on there, because two of the major perfume, or I should say perfumery ingredients manufacturing companies, are from Switzerland. So I spent a lot of time there only out of interest, and I was always intrigued by what is happening in the stream of perfumery outside of India. And it always fascinated me that it would be very nice and interesting, and the world is dying over French perfumes. But while I was there, the most time I spent on researching, the most time I spent on understanding it, the more I fell in love with my roots, Indian perfumery, if I may say that. It's like that's when I actually realized how beautiful and unique Indian perfumery is, and what everybody else is doing, or even in India, everybody's just trying to ape what others are doing, or maybe something that's popular. But what I wanted to do was, I actually fell in love with Indian perfumery, Indian style of perfumery, the ingredients that we use, the way we use them, and how it has grown. It has been over so many years. And so I was, in small ways, always involved in the business, helping my father, my uncle. And then in the meantime, I was trying to explore my own career journey. I started working into the field of chicken curry, because again, probably I always had that attraction towards Indian crafts. So I promoted Indian chicken curry, which is an embroidery done in Lucknow, and which is very exclusive to Lucknow again.
Mm-hmm.
So I ventured into that. We were doing well, and then there came a time where I realized my family needed me, and also I wanted to do something which I felt we were losing the touch of, because over the period of time, what has happened is trying to give what the customer wants. In that idea, we've also stopped doing the kind of work we were doing 100 years back, as in working more around naturals, working more around pure others rather than blends, or just a mock-up of molecules and not actual real perfume. So my idea was to bring back what we used to do 100 years back, bring back that to life. And because I felt, if I could fall in love, I know so much about it. If I could fall in love, and I knew so many people who always ask me, okay, this is something very intriguing, but I don't know where to get it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know whether something like this does even exist or not now. So that's where, when I came in, I started on my own. So Isak Fragrances is my brand, and it is separate from my family business. However, because I belong to the same lineage, I got this opportunity to have access to raw materials, and the industry knowledge which my parents had, and the knowledge that had come down from one generation to another. So I think that was the most important part. In fact, that is the most important part in my business. You know, that knowledge of working around with different ingredients, and how two ingredients, when they blend together, they actually create something more beautiful, and rather a third outcome come to completely different from the first two if they come together. So the idea when I launched Isak Fragrances, like I talk about, was more focused on what we were doing 100 years back, bringing it forth. Of course, I added a little bit of modern touch to it. Like, instead of others, we launched with perfumes because that was more in demand. People wanted to use, and they were more inclined to use perfumes rather than others. Even today, most of our international clients, they prefer to use perfumes. I have to tell them about others, what exactly others are. Most of them still don't know what others are. The Middle Eastern countries have made them popular, but still it's something that they are not too comfortable using. So we started with perfumes, and I also wanted to bring back customization, because in the olden times, that was how a perfume was created. So each perfume was created based on your need, and it was not a custom product. Sorry, it was not a regular product out of a shelf. So some people used to come to my forefathers and they used to tell, this is something what I'm looking for and what would suit me, and then a custom fragrance was prepared. Now perfumery is also very expensive art, so it's not everybody could afford it in the, you know, the gone era, right? I should say the 19th century. So it was difficult to go access it, difficult to buy, and hence customization was the way this art was taken forward.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
with, as time processed, and you know, people, we wanted to, if you want to increase margins, or if you want to increase your customer base, in that case you will have to come up with products which you can manufacture at a mass scale, and then provide it to the market so that they can purchase. So that's where it moved in gradually. Isak Fragrances, other perfumes and others, we still do hand blending. We make our perfumes in small batches to keep the freshness alive. And the idea constantly remains on being, you know, on being unique, on being niche, and being close to our roots. So that's still the idea, that we have to bring forward Indian perfumery, and show the world how unique and beautiful Indian perfumery is. While I was talking about customization, I think I missed the point. So we also came up with an idea of educating the customers of around what Indian perfumery is, what we used to do a few years back, 100 years back, and how it has evolved over the period of time, and also giving them an experience where they could create their own perfumes also.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
last year, I actually used to take workshops wherein people could come and make their own perfumes in 2.5 hours. But after the lockdown, what happened is, I we couldn't take those workshops, and it also came to my mind, how could I take the workshops to their houses and they could still do it. And that's how we came up with the virtual sessions, where now we ship them a lab in a box. It's a kit where we give them everything that they need, and then in a guided process, or on their own if they wish to, they can create a perfume on their own, sitting in their homes, and, you know, continue doing it even for some time, because it's a different world, especially because we are not exposed to it. Not many people are exposed to that kind of world, where you can actually sit and decide and create your own bespoke fragrance, which is not available anywhere else. So yeah, I think this has been my journey.
Okay, okay. And what were the challenges you faced of, being in, you were doing something else, then you come to the business with your parents and your, great grandparents, and all of them are been doing it. Then you come and then you said, I want to also do this, and then you literally get into doing it. So what were the challenges in the beginning, and what was going in your mind when you thought that I will do it?
Okay, there were, first and foremost was, like I said, I was already running a business, so it was, I think, one of the most difficult decision at that point of time was to decide whether I can handle two businesses together, or I'll have to, decide and choose one. So at that point of time, this was a very difficult decision. I had to shut down on my previous one, and then I decided to focus only on this one. So this was one. Second, I didn't really get that kind of a support. So my uncle was supportive of me. He wanted me to, okay, I expressed this idea of starting Isak Fragrances and what I wanted to do. because there was I could see that this is something so beautiful and exclusive where we are nobody's trying to follow it, and we have the knowledge, we have the resources, but it's still we there's nobody taking it forward just because it's difficult to reach out to that kind of customer base. Uh, it's difficult to sell this kind of a product because people are more mass scale focused rather than a niche scale focus. So my uncle supported me. He told me, okay, whatever you need, let me know. And in fact, he has guided me through the process. My father was not very supportive, although things have changed now over a period of time. He wasn't really supportive of it, but he's come around it, so it's all okay now. Some of the other challenges, of course, when you start any business is that you have to manage your time. So one of the
Go ahead.
So one of the challenges that I believe every business faces when they start is the funding part, because you have a certain amount and you start with certain ideas on your mind, but when you actually land into the space where you've launched your brand and you realize that things don't go the way you plan. They always change. They're never the way that you had thought it would go in a certain way. Even little things like regulations, especially in my industry, regulations are huge. And not just that, they keep changing, they keep evolving over a period of time as well. So I was aware of some of them, but as we grow we realize, okay, this is also required. So this is like one minuscule thing that is so important, and people, we are not aware of certain things. And similarly, going forward, we plan based on things that we already know, but once you jump in, there are so many things that you learn and you realize, okay, this is not how I can move forward. I'll have to probably change my path. And once you change your path, or once you change the way you had planned, the first thing that gets hit is your funding. So the same thing happened with us also. Mine is a bootstrap company, so me and my chachi, so my uncle's wife, both she's invested. Both of us have invested into the business, and so funding was one of the biggest concerns. So initially I wanted to start with a lot of more launches, more product lines, but then we had to constrain ourselves because we realized, okay, we'll have to grow in slowly, especially
Mm.
in today's world with the social media talking about so many people growing from 0 to 10 in like a flashing in like light speed actually.
Yeah.
So people think that, okay, everything is, it'll happen like this, but it doesn't work that way. You need immense amount of patience. And there are days when there's nothing happening at all, and there are such days at stretch where there's nothing, no movement happening. You're frustrated, and you don't understand why things are not working. You're doing everything possible, but then suddenly the day comes and you don't have any time left, and you're like managing so many things at the same time. So yes, initially when you start, it is extremely difficult, and it's like you're a lone wolf there. If you don't have a mentor, it's very difficult to understand, okay, what next, okay, and how do I, okay, this is a new problem, how do I handle it? So you go Google, you go search about it, you try different things. So it's like a constant hustle, and it's like you are never at rest. But I think that's the fun part of it when you're starting business on your own. You are always faced with new challenges, and you have to find solutions to them to move forward.
Yeah,
So
100%. I
yeah.
totally agree with you with on that point. And so last question to you about, like, what would be your lessons which you learned through the journey, through the part of creating things and making perfumes and others and all of that, and trying to make it, carrying out that legacy of your parents, your family having that, name of having perfumes and making perfumes. What would be your lessons you learned through the journey?
One big problem with me was I wanted to make certain products my way, or in a way I wanted to do it what was happening 100 years back. But then the business had been running, my family had been doing business in a certain way, and which was successful. They've been doing well. So there will be resistance whenever you try to do something different. There will always be resistance. So it's important to have faith in yourself at that point of time and be ready with facts, be ready with numbers, be ready with solutions at that point of time, because there will be people who will be saying that no, this is not going to work, or or you don't know anything. So in that, at that point of time, you cannot just say, I know this is going to work, my gut says that. At that point of time, what you need is good researched answers, and why you are doing what you're doing. See, it could be that they are right, but you have to tell them why they might be wrong, and then you have to continue. So the first challenge, and what I tell others also, you have to be prepared with your answers. If somebody tells you why you're doing what you're doing and why is it so different, and yet you believe in it.
Hmm.
One. Second, what I feel is, we feel we can depend on others. We feel, okay, there is such and such person who will help me out with certain things. But when you actually jump into it, there are very few who will actually go out of their way and help you,
Yeah.
especially if there's nothing in for them. So you have to consider the fact that people are going to help you, but only, mostly rather, if they have something in for them. It's difficult initially, because especially youngsters, we jump in with a lot of family support or support from friends or people telling us, "Arey, tu kar, I'm there, I'll help you out." But when the trouble actually comes, so you should be prepared for it. If you're not, you will have to handle things on your own. At that point of time, what I feel is, you should not try not to depend on others as much as possible. Try to handle things as much as possible on your own.
Hmm.
And these days there are a lot of services available for everything. There is a solution, there are people helping you out. Of course, you have to pay them. So I think that would be a better way to go about things, rather than asking for help. Okay, you help me for free. Because even if somebody helps you once or maybe twice, it's like something that will not be carried forward for a long time. So, finding tax solutions, what would the best way to file your taxes, or finding problems like, what are the certifications that I need to go on. So there are institutions who are ready, who will be ready there, and who will be ready to help you in the proper way, the right paperwork, the right amount of time, and the regulations that you need. So I feel you should, rather than depending on the sources that you actually thought you can depend on, it should be better. It's better if you learn the trick of the game on your own and then move forward.
Hmm.
True.
Okay.
And have patience. I think having patience is most important thing when you're starting out on your own. It's very, very important, and we tend to lose out a lot.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree on that. And people just go crazy when they don't, have patience and don't believe in themselves, and they think things will become fast and run fast, which doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at all. It takes
Yeah.
time. You have to put your hard work and everything in it. So yeah, so great. Thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure hearing you, knowing about your story. Speaking about a different industry where which is very totally different and has uh, yeah, totally different, I would say again. And yeah, so thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.